Most of my memories fades like all my enemies' names. Like the Lion King, I'm win away. I'm just here to breathe.
All right, that's enough of that for now. Yeah. I forgot the buttons again, but it's okay.
Yeah. It's all good.
Hee-haw. Hee-haw.
You a donkey.
Excuse me?
You a donkey.
I'm more independent. I'm not Republican or a Democrat.
Greetings. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Pew, 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 pew. We are the Paid in Full podcast. We are your hosts, JP and Mia. Back for another awesome episode.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are on the road, so we are currently on a weekender with the kids, and so we decided to take the podcast on the streets, out here in the streets.
Yeah, we had the boo-boos last week.
Don't say it like that. Y'all gotta wash your hands, wear your mask. There's something called something with the word gastro in it.
We suffered from rhinitis.
Yeah. we got the stuff. So everybody, please stay safe. It's flu season, and not only that, it's just stomach bugs flying around. According to my doctor, it's really bad. So people are very sick.
So stop eating fast food because people are nasty.
That and, yeah, just wash your hands. It's just people's hands are nasty. And I thought we learned from COVID.
And what did we have last night and this morning, Mia?
What do you mean? You act like that's my fault. We are out of town.
We are hypocrites.
We're out of town, but we're coming back. We're going to be home tomorrow, and we'll get it back together. So it's all good. Don't you do that?
Yeah.
My apologies. So
You want some water?
I still got some stuff in my throat. It's all good. I'll be fine. So it's enough introduction. Welcome back to our regular listeners.
We are a family podcast, and we love.
We are a married millennium podcast who look at relationships through the lens of film.
And we love.
Just trying to stealing. So today we are going to be looking into season 1 of one of my favorite shows, like historically, Insecure, and we're going to be using that to ask some important questions of the longevity of a relationship and how you can maintain not only longevity, just quality. It's not always about quantity, but maintain the quality of your relationship, because I think season 1 of the show Insecure is a clinic on what not to do in your relationship. So that's where we're going to go today. I'm so excited. I'm going to do my Oprah voice. Oh, I'm excited.
Oprah's canceled.
Don't you? No, she's not. Nope. Y'all not going to. That's another episode. We're not.
Team Taraji.
So, we're going to. No, you're not quite. You're not canceling.
I'll stay on track.
I'm trying to. You're trying to drive me off.
Just ignore me.
So, we're going to start. If to our listeners who have never heard of the show Insecure, it's like a young adult coming of age show. It had 5 seasons on HBO, and they ended. It ended within the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Issa Rae, R-A-E, is the creator and star, protagonist, if you will, of the show. And so you see young people of color going through different facets of relationships, and they're trying to maneuver that and professional aspirations and the troubles with family. So it's a real look into what we have to balance between I guess they're all late 20s, early 30s, what we have to balance in that age range in our time period. So that's why it's one of my favorites. It speaks directly to me.
Mia was Issa in school.
I wasn't that bad. I wasn't Issa.
So you weren't buying Rite Aid panties?
I wasn't that bad. I didn't get there. So I have some qualities of hers randomly, but not 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think now I'm more like Kelly. I don't know. I think now it's just some more Kelly. So let's see.
Issa,
Lawrence?
where have you been, huh? I've been calling you.
Oh, I have my phone on airplane mode.
What the fuck?
I'm just buying.
You buying panties?
Why are you being all loud?
Why are you buying a six-pack?
It's cheaper, and it's not like it's the cute kind.
Wait, are you not coming home?
So we were going to focus on Issa, who's the female voice that you heard, and her boyfriend, Lawrence, and their dynamic. So the question I want to ask my husband, well, it's a couple of them, but the main one is, what do you do if and when you start to notice that your partner, longtime partner, because they were together 5 years, your longtime partner has changed, and not so much the overnight change, but that you see them changing, but it's outside of your comfort zone. And what do you do? Because we're going to kind of talk about what Lawrence may have been actually going through and the perception that Issa may have had of him at the time. And what do we do when we notice that there's something very serious going on with your partner? And how long can a couple break up before they're actually broken up? Because people out here in these streets break up every day. A little bit, a lot of bit, and don't actually break up. So those are important questions that we're going to dive into.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Okay, so start from the top.
Okay.
What question you want me to answer first?
Okay, so let's talk about communication for a second.
Okay.
Using the episodes of the first season as the backdrop, how important is quality communication in your relationships? So how important is communicating? And let me kind of I'm not talking about hey, how you doing? How are you? What's going on? What we eating tonight? What we wearing tomorrow? Not that kind of communication. I mean asking the important questions, asking the deep questions, asking the stuff you may not want the answer to. Because we see what happens within this first season of this series, what happens when you avoid the hard conversations. Pardon me.
Okay. Humans as a whole, we're stupid. So we have to. It's like, because this is a deeper thing, because we don't. Most of us don't know ourselves, so we can't really decipher how we want to be communicated, because if we don't necessarily know ourselves. A lot of relationships are out of convenience and space and opportunity. So we really just it's a lot of physical type things. So just being with someone that's cute, so we're
Attracted to that.
We're attracted to that. So you really don't know what you need until you actually get into the relationship. If you don't know yourself ahead of time.
I can see that.
So
Yeah, I'm
trying to word it, but it's weird. So
Yeah.
like I said, because you just going into the who the hell did I marry lady?
Yeah, who TF did I marry?
Yeah. So
In case y'all haven't heard, what's her name? Risa Tessa.
Risa Tisa.
Risa Tisa. It's a series, not a series. We're going to call it a series that's going around on TikTok, y'all. 50 parts to it. But her story is sweeping.
Yeah. So it's like in order to get companionship and everything, we are sometimes willing to ignore our inner wants and needs and what's needed at the time for the sake of companionship.
You talking a lot.
So,
Because it's so true. Because I've heard so many stories of people who stay with people even though they know they're not right for them.
yeah,
Because they don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be by myself. So being with someone, even if they treat me badly and I'm sad, it's better than being lonely.
so the communication in that is, in the change of communication is what did you establish at the beginning?
And in terms of that story, that young lady story, they went so fast. It's alarming. They went from never knowing each other, meeting online, to 2 weeks later moving in together. And you get the climate at the time. It was 2020, right? COVID happened. People were afraid. We were terrified. So we were like, we might as well just kind of couple up and kind of hunker down and ride this thing out. So to that point, you can throw her a bone, right? Give her a little grace. But it came up to a point where everything they did was way too fast. Like 2 weeks later, and then a month later, and then they got engaged real quick, and then they got married 1 month after getting engaged, which is like a lot.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. In the case of that, how do you can't really establish how your partner changed because you accepted everything immediately and you dealing with everything real time. So you don't know anything about this person right off top. But you, for the sake of being in a relationship, you jump right in and was just going to take it how it came.
Take it how it came, yeah. And then in that, when you do communicate, you're communicating to a representative. You're not communicating to that person and who they are deeply. You're communicating with the person that they are showing.
His avatar.
Yeah, it's like the AI. You're talking to the AI. So you're talking, and even if you are doing those deep conversations, you're still talking to the person on the outside. You're not speaking to their soul. So you're still running, spinning your wheel basically, because you're not going to be able to get anywhere unless you get down to the root of whatever the issues are in your relationship, because you're not talking to the root cause person. Yeah.
So tying that back into with Issa and Lawrence, with them being together for 5 years, they would have needed to tap in. They would have needed to tap into each other. They weren't listening to everything around them, and that's why they were missing each other, because I'm pretty sure that if they would have just took a step back and just breathed and looked at their environment and everything, they would have seen that everything was changing. But they were so deep inside themselves that they didn't notice anything.
Very true. I wrote that on my little notes. Because Lawrence was so deep in his situation. This is an extreme situation, but he didn't do anything for her birthday. Like, she came in from having been out and came in on her birthday. He was just like, hey, happy birthday. And then she was like, we going to the show. And he was like, no, he just sitting there thinking about how he bombed a job interview, as opposed to just being like, oh, it's my girlfriend's birthday, let me suck it up and go and be out and celebrate her. He was so deeply into that she was just like, okay. And then each time he set up having conversations or starting to have a conversation, she ran away. Like at the time where she was going out with Molly, I think, and he said something about Molly having high expectations, and she was like, yeah, maybe she should drop him like I did. And he was like, wait, what? It's genuinely surprised him when it kind of burst out of her, because she probably been taking shots at him for a minute. But he suddenly was listening and was like, wait, what are we talking about? And then she was like, oh, what are we doing? We not even really moving anywhere. And he was like, wait, what? Like, his face was like genuine shock, because first off, he didn't realize it because he was, going through what he was going through. And then secondly, she had never talked about it. She just kept running away from it. So it wasn't even until they spilled the food on the couch where they were like, hey, they stopped and was like, look at what we doing. Look at where we are. Right. So just like kind of what you said, when they take some time to slow down and actually look at the person that they're with and the state of their relationship, would they actually be able to actually communicate honestly? Because people dishonestly communicate all day. So that's good stuff. Look at you.
Didn't do anything.
You have started us off on a great pathway.
Okay.
So communication. Yeah. Only if you're communicating with the correct person. And I mean correct in terms of the depth of the person. So yeah. All right, another question. Oh, so we're now on this. When your partner has changed, right? What do you do if you've noticed that they've changed and you may not be ready for it, or it's outside of what you think you can handle? So I'm thinking about Lawrence, and in the series, we are literally, viewers are introduced to Issa's, like, what she call him, her what if guy, Daniel. We are introduced to Daniel before we even know that Issa has a boyfriend and has had a boyfriend for 5 years. So she was like her entire 20s, she had been dating Lawrence. So that said a lot. That was ding, red light, flag on the play. Number one is that we already meet Issa as someone who is fantasizing about a whole nother man while she is with her long-term boyfriend. And so then we start to see like the little things that Lawrence does that probably have pretty much pushed her away from him. So first off, his physical appearance. I did my, a couple of different watches, and I noticed that the first 3 episodes of the first season, all Lawrence wears is these giant sweatpants and these gray t-shirts. Like, he's just in gray, which is, I think, a very intentional wardrobe decision, which is great. Good job, y'all. He looks rough. He's unshaven. He don't have no haircut. And then he's just in the house. If he's not on job interviews, which is a whole nother thing, like, he could at least cut his hair for job interviews. Lawrence went out there looking like a homeless man with a suit on, trying to get interviews with his Georgetown education. It's like, what? Dude, you don't look like Georgetown. Cut your hair. So it's the physical representation of his mental state. So I think his background was he was making an app.
Yes,
Is that what he was doing?
He was like a web tech person.
Yeah.
Web designer.
Yeah. And I guess for years, according to his best friend Chad, he was like, you've been working on it for years. For years, he had been working on just the business plan of his app. Like, he never actually created the app until like seasons in the future, and then it kind of just failed.
And see, that's where I have a problem. That's where I have a problem with it, because when we're talking about a change in a person, a change is something that you aren't aware of. So say for example, because the first thing that
Talking about, yeah.
a change in the person in your relationship. So the first thing is, if this has been communicated prior that this is something that I want to do, this is something I'm trying to do, then that's not necessarily a change. A change would be, because I'm pretty sure Issa was aware that this is what he was working on, correct?
Right.
So this is what he was doing. A change would be if Lawrence decided that he wanted to be a rapper or something like that, just randomly change something that was outside of the norm of something that they already communicated to. So in the case of me and you, you were in school and you were English. So that's teaching was kind of in your wheelhouse as the person that you are. So the changes that we're going through now, I kind of expected that, because that's kind of within it's in the realm of what you're doing. Okay. Now, if you decide that you want to go start working down at Tyler Perry Studio as an actress, that's a problem, because that's not what we discussed. That's something that I'm not really prepared to take on, because that's not what we discussed, and that's not in your path.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the changes outside of the plan and the goals that we set
if
together.
they were to communicate it.
If they communicate,
Because with me, I haven't necessarily got into it, but you know that I eventually want to get into business. So I'm working towards my path.
and we've talked about it, right?
But if I tell you that I want to just drop everything and go strictly music full time, that would be a problem,
That's
correct?
the reaction. That's the problem,
Okay.
right? Because we haven't discussed any of that at our big fours. We're like, it's too big of a change.
I want to go join Love and Hip Hop or something,
Right.
Or
I would be like,
want to
"Are
start
you
going
okay?"
I want to start going to the clubs and stuff like that. Become a
midlife
dancer,
crisis.
just stuff that's completely
Completely outside.
different out of the person that I presented to you from since we met.
So what we see with Lawrence is we assume that they decided that he could sit and propose and do his business proposal
Not even
for
not
his
even,
app.
not even that is it's failing. That's part of the process though. The fact that it's failing, so you would. It may have taken a little bit longer, but it's not anything out of different.
It's not moving forward.
What he wanted, what they discussed before.
Okay. So what you're saying, or what I think you're saying, is she should have come to expect
Or discussed where they were
and
where he
they need to go.
was with it, but she got into it where it was more of a resentment thing towards him, and he's thinking, this is my path, this is what I want to do, and we're going to go there, and I'm thinking that you're supporting me in this, but then you got this secret resentment against me because I'm in a lull.
Yep.
in my path.
Okay. And then too, she did express, like at the beginning of the first episode, that this was a new season for her. She turned 29. So she was like, I don't want to be afraid to do stuff anymore. So one of her being afraid of not to do was not to be afraid to tell him exactly how she felt, even though she wasn't doing it. But part of that was, I want to go and be on stage and do this random open mic night, and I want to go talk to this guy who I always want to talk to from high school, who I never got to do. So that she was, I like how you said, listening to other people and doing other stuff outside of the relationship rather than tackling what was needed at the time. She was kind of just like trying to live her life outside of what she had right in front of her, which was, it's not a healthy, because you saw, I mean, the relationship eroded very quickly. That was even before she cheated. It was eroding quickly. Yeah, spoiler. And it seemed like they just, and then she made, I guess, I don't want to say excuses, but that's the first thing I think of. She made like excuses for what she saw was a deficit in Lawrence. So like, they were at the nail shop and she was saying that she wished that they were having sex. And when they were in Rite Aid, like the episode that we clipped at the beginning, you could see they weren't communicating, right? Because he didn't even know that she wasn't coming home. She was just staying at Molly's house just to get away from him, basically. And it wasn't even really to think. She was just chilling at Molly's house. And then we see that their lack of passion in her relationship was impacting her job, because suddenly she ain't getting ready for her little presentations. She doing presentations at work off the top of her dome. She's not anticipating questions from her coworkers, and they all shady, So we see a lot of the root problem was she was not tackling what she should have or needed to tackle within her relationship, and it was spilling out, bleeding out basically into other areas of her life. She talked about the emotional weight, the financial weight, and how all of those things in her mind were the problem.
And never once did she just stop and say, what's going on? Are you okay?
She did not ever ask him, are you okay? And we get the idea she probably never even asked him how the business plan is going. Like, did she ever ask him, can she see it? Can I find somebody to help? What area are you working on? It seemed like she wasn't interested in it after a while.
Yeah, and like I said, he's not completely free in all this, because at some point you have to do what's necessary, and that involves if you have to go work at Burger King or something to assist. So his sense of entitlement and pride was also a factor in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they could have and they should have communicated a lot better than what they did.
Yeah. And we saw that in was like episode 3 or 4 when he finally, when the, I guess the lady who was helping him get jobs, he was finally like, hey, I need to just get a job just to kind of hold me over and get me out of the house. Because being in the house, he was literally doing job interview, and not getting the jobs, which was an ego shot, right? He just kept getting boom, ego shot down again, to go home to like kind of wallow in his despair. And here comes your girlfriend who was able to go out and have a job and, you know, make some difference in her nonprofit. And he was just sitting in his shit, like he was just sitting in it. So once he finally got that Best Buy job, it like something clicked, even though it wasn't what he wanted, but he was still able to work on computers, which is what he liked to do. And we get this sort of recommitment from the two of them that, hey, everything is going to be all right. Like we're going to be okay. We just we gotta do stuff a little differently. And you got to work at Best Buy for a little while.
Yeah. Support is a motherfucker.
It surely is. So. And it's more important to us, like in a spiritual way, than people really realize. When you feel supported, you're able to do more. You're able to fly higher. And he wasn't getting that from her, and she wasn't getting that from him. They both just stopped. So yeah. And then and then those,
Let's take a break.
Okay.
You're sick of TikTok challenges and these kids' hoodies. You need paid in full to make you smile in your day. Your relationship is new or older in between. You need paid in full so they don't think you're insane. Go ahead and stream us today. Go ahead and stream us today. You need paid in full. Go ahead and stream us today.
Oh yeah, man.
You be tripping.
What I do? What did I do? I just be dancing. That's all. I don't understand it. So yeah. So what do you do if you notice those changes? I think the most important thing is ask questions, like show your partner that
Are you okay?
care.
Are you
ask them,
are you having
okay?
a stroke? Can you lift your arm? Let me see you smile.
Read this sentence for me. Tell me what to do. Like something.
Because
Ask
it could
them.
very well be a brain injury.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And if you know, like, I know you are a physical, I know you had a physical standard. So I know what you look like day to day. If I suddenly notice that you are starting not to care about how you look, baby, we got to figure out what's the problem. There is a problem if my husband suddenly start going out looking crazy, and let alone not smell good, because my husband smells good 98.9% of the time. I'm like, look, if he don't, I'm going to be like, hey, something is off. But that's, again, knowing somebody at a deeper level. Just because they were together 5 years don't mean that they were actually together, if that makes sense. In your 20s, you're fickle, right? You're fickle in your 20s. You're not really. No, you're still young. Still trying to figure yourself out and have some type of self-identity. So, being together, your relationship is not it has a different feeling and a different, it's not, sometimes, it can be deep, but your relationship changes the longer you're together. So, those first few years, you're still learning who the other person is. So, I was going to say, too, we get the perfect couple. We're introduced to Tiffany and Derek, who are problematic so much, but I think they're presented as the opposite of Issa and Lawrence. So the one quote that kind of stood out to me from when we first meet Tiffany and Derek in episode 3 was, and this is from Tiffany. Tiffany was like, the reason why, and that's how she talks, the reason why my baby and I work is because I let him be a man and he lets me be a woman. And I was like, girl, but then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? She might be on to something, because if we're trying to look at it like them as foils to Issa and Lawrence. Issa was very much, she became the breadwinner, right? Because she had to be to keep the bills going. She became the aggressor, more like I'm going out, I'm coming home, you got to cook, because that's what Lawrence suddenly became. They basically switched roles, traditional gender roles. Now, do know that I'm not letting it known that a man is supposed to go out and make money and a woman's supposed to stay home and cook. Just in the traditional sense, they switched places, which is what Tiffany brought up, was that her husband Derek is a man and she's a woman. And then we see Lawrence at home. He's, emotional and he's trying to cook so that they can sit and talk. And Issa just coming in, I was like, I just want to bring my plate to the couch. So we got that switch over time of what happened, and there may be something to that. I don't ever want to agree with Tiffany because she was such a problematic character. She was endearing, but problematic. But to that, I was like, that may have also attributed some rocks on their little pathway too. So yeah. How long can a couple break up before they're broken up?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
How long do we think that Issa and Lawrence have been breaking up? They have been breaking up for a long time. They say that a breakup, the higher up you go, the longer it takes for you to come down to actually break off a relationship. So we don't get the background. We just get it we trying to dive in the first episode to learning that Issa wants to break up with her boyfriend.
Okay, I'll let you answer that first.
How
long? It's your question.
Yeah. How long can a couple break up?
Be broken up.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning, where we're not really talking to the actual person you're dating. At the beginning, at least the first few months, you're getting the representative AI avatar person. So until you actually talk to the person, you could be breaking up pretty much from the time you meet, I think. It just depends on what y'all set up, right? What's your end goal? Where are you going? And then are you still working towards that? Because I think that anytime you're not working towards what you both want in a relationship, you're breaking up because you're moving away from what you both want together. Like you're going on different pathways. Whenever y'all split apart and start branching off, I think that's when people start growing apart. It's kind of like when we hear about celebrities who are older and they're together 20, 30 years, but they divorce 20 or 30 years later. And it's like, what? Why? Because you've been together 30 years. Why are you divorcing? And I think it's just one of those things where you just grew apart for so long.
I got you. You still not answering my question, so I'm going to ask you again. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask.
Yes.
I'm asking you specifically.
Okay.
Mia, if Mia and JP were to break up today, how long?
Had we been breaking up?
No, how long would we be broken up?
How long would we be broken up? Oh, I was talking about how long had the relationship been failing before you break up.
Oh, that's
not how long would we be broken up.
Oh, okay.
We won't be broken up longer than an hour.
I wasn't clear on the question.
Okay, I got you. No, I mean in terms of how long up to the point of them actually breaking it off, had they been breaking up?
Probably after that lady found out the arena football players don't make a lot of money. Risa Teesa, he told her he was an arena football player and she fell for that
he
shit.
was the regional VP of a condiment company. She was like, I'm not going to say the name of it, but what?
I'm trying to think what was the first red flag. Once she ignored the first red flag, they was already breaking.
She ignored, I think the first red flag was he had a studio and she had a 3-bedroom apartment and a 3-bedroom townhouse, and she invited him to come stay. And I was like, why did he have a studio if he's the regional vice president? Ooh, he's a regional VP with a studio. Okay. But he had paperwork that says he could buy a $750,000 house in Atlanta. Really? So, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear on that question. I didn't clarify it. But I was saying, like, how long can a couple break up before they actually stop? And my brain is telling me a couple can break up for decades and not really cut it all. Because people tend to go back to what is comfortable after a while. And if you out here in these streets, you know, it's a sewer and a swamp and everything out here. So sometimes people just kind of get together. People will divorce and like be hanging out chilling. Like, y'all are divorced, but that's your, you know, oh, he's just my friend and we're better. We're better as friends than we were married. Like, I know personally people who say, well, we were just, you know, marriage wasn't good for him. It wasn't good for me. We were awful married, but as parents and, you know, co-parents and friends, we good. We can sit and watch the game, or we can sit and drop the kids off at the park or whatever. So yeah. And I think Issa and Lawrence, I think from the point where that business plan stalled, I think that's probably when they started breaking up, honestly. Because again, like you said, they weren't discussing the state of the business plan, because that would have affected her too. You know, I would have been very invested in something that you are doing because it's impacting me. I don't have you fully. So she should have been all up in his business. I would have been all up in it. And we don't get the idea that she was. We get the idea that she was trusting him into doing what he was supposed to be doing. And after a while, he just stopped and had to go look for jobs.
He can't come back ever. So it took him about 2 hours from the time of I will beat you like the bitch you are for him to actually leave the house. Again, I'm calm telling y'all this story. It was not calm in the house. So he eventually puts on some sweatpants. Now I can really see how much weight he has lost. But he puts on some sweatpants. He puts on a shirt. He's limping down. And she's like, you really going to kick me out on my birthday?
It probably wasn't even his birthday.
I just looked at him.
It wasn't his birthday.
I just looked at him. Opened the door. He went through the garage, got into his car, called, you know, his aunt was still on the phone, and she was like, I'm going to send you some money. And that's the part I was like, clearly he has the money. Like, you ain't got to send him money. He doesn't even have to go to Philly. He can just go get a hotel for now. I don't care what he does. He just got to leave this house.
This poor lady.
We feel so much for her. And people are really, I think people are struggling with trying to have empathy because she has so many flags. All the flags of the nations were swinging in her face, and she was still like, but we talked about this week with a group of women. We were like, she was, I think her background was she was a Christian woman, right? She came from a Baptist household where she felt guilty about having a baby before marriage. So that was that. And then she was, I guess, in her mid-30s. So sometimes women put pressure on ourselves to be at a certain station in life at a certain age. And it's detrimental, but we do it. And for her, I think she was like, I'm supposed to be married, have a baby, have a house by this time. And I have none of those. So I'm going to find this man and I'm going to be with him and we're going to go get married and we're going to have a baby and we're going to do everything that I want to do by the time I'm 35 so that I can have this perception of I've got this life. I got the white picket fence and all of that. Even if he pretending like he talking on the phone to family members who don't even like him, who don't exist.
I don't want to talk to the husband. I want to talk to her previous boyfriend. So
yeah, we need her background too.
What was your dating life before this gentleman? What is your criteria? What are your standards?
I don't know, because she put up with a lot. She put up with a lot more than most of us would have, men and women. I know guys who were like, hey, it couldn't have been me. She has a high threshold for tolerance. She ignored the obvious things in the name of, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be lonely.
Yeah, because Buddy didn't do anything but just followed the standard of most homosexuals.
Homosexual.
Yeah. He did what he had to do.
He did what he had to do
to get into the house.
Yeah. And he got in there. He got in there good, too. And she never required him to have proof. Like he would like, there was like one part where he was telling her, oh, the company car. And she was like, I want to see, the company car. And so it was a Saturday. They had to go out to Perimeter somewhere. That's where his office building was. So, and he had to call. He called security and was like, hey, can I get in the building? My car don't work on the weekends. This man, again, does not work at this building, y'all. So we don't know who he called. He could have called his buddy John or whoever. So he was like, he made up the story where, oh, security said I can't come in on the weekend, so I can't get the car. So we got to turn around. They turned around and went back to College Park because I think that's where they were living, or Riverdale. They were in Riverdale. So it was like the obvious, ma'am. It was like, ma'am, a lot. And again, we feel bad for her. It was like, this is terrible. And in another, I guess, another time period, this could have been Issa and Lawrence. If it was like, if he was continuing on his way to not develop this business plan, he became eventually, to a degree, a homosexual because she was paying the bills with her nonprofit check, which is not a lot. They don't get paid a lot. And so if Issa would have allowed Lawrence to continue going forward without expecting him or without challenging him to do something different, or I'm going to break up, he might have still been sitting on that couch the rest of the seasons of the show. Because she said, what are we doing? We need to break up. Was he like, wait, what? What's going on? I don't understand. I don't understand why you want to break up with me. Because he was like in a fog. Mm-hmm. So until she said that, they still would have just been spinning their wheels on that little rat wheel. Just walking. So it gets to be really sticky out here. When you're dealing with relationships and the person that you're talking to, whether or not they're the actual person, or if they are making things up, or if they've deviated away from what you guys planned together. Mm-hmm. So yeah. It's a lot out here. It's rough. So, I don't even know if we want to get into Tasha and Daniel.
Not right now.
Okay. Because we're going to probably do a part 2 for Insecure because, of course, it's 5 seasons. So we get into later in the seasons how Lawrence changes for the better and the consequences of Issa's decision to cheat on Lawrence and Lawrence finding out. So we get into all of that. We get into season 2, that little explosive conversation they had where everybody was like, woo. And we get Lawrence and his relationship with Tasha. And so it becomes a whole lot of other different relationships that they have to learn from before they're actually able to come back around. Because they had to go around to get back to each other. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah.
Question for you.
I was thinking of something, but it escaped me. I put too much together.
You're good.
Okay.
Because I think we tied a bow on that.
Okay.
All right. So, question for you. Mm-hmm. What would go through your mind if you would have found out, if it was discovered that I just randomly had a child?
Okay. Like today. What would go through my mind if I find out that you have a outside kid?
Yeah.
How old is this kid?
20.
Oh my God. Okay. So we've been together 19 years, y'all. Okay. So I would have like the questions, like even right now, I have questions flooding my mind. It's like, like all the words just tumbled. My first question is, did you know about this baby? No. That would be my first question.
No.
You did not know that you had this baby.
Correct.
Okay. Can you prove that you did not know about this baby? Because I would be like, you need to find some proof for me. Because then I would be immediately distrustful.
Yeah, I'm tired too, because that was some of the things that ran in through my mind when I got that garnishment from the state of Illinois. when I was researching why the hell I had a garnishment
Yo.
on my check from 2003, I thought it was a goddamn child support. So,
We got a garnishment.
like-
Yo, we don't get garnishments. Like, it's so random that it was garnished. And it was like, wait, what is this?
yeah, the state of Illinois say I owe them $100 from 2003, and they
It's
didn't,
2024.
and they didn't tax me an extra $400 on top of that.
For interest, it's 20 years worth of interest. That's crazy. I know. Y'all, real life
Yeah,
situations.
so I went through the IRS.gov. I started looking, and then I finally found out it was a tax thing. But I was like, "Heck, you mean a garnishment? I got a child somewhere?"
Y'all, life be lifing for no reason. And we still both trying to get 100%, get back to 100% with our health. And we got this. Boy, life be lifing.
So yeah,
Yeah, they
my
just
mind-
took money
my mind
out.
was all over the place. I was like, the names just started popping in my head, like you dirty nasty,
Oh my God.
you motherfucker.
Oh, that's what I would be like. Wait, where's the proof? Because for real, and that's where that was the tactic you took too. You were like, hey, y'all got to prove. Like, what, what proof do y'all have that y'all reached out to me? They didn't even have our address. Like, didn't they have a Georgia address though? They could see that you live in
They
Georgia,
had the wrong Georgia address.
Yeah, but I mean, we
hadn't lived
still-
there in 4 years.
right? But we still live in Georgia. I guess people do that though. People just make up addresses. I guess.
Yeah, so
I'm like, y'all don't have no proof. Y'all tried to reach out over
so-
20 years.
So my mind was racing.
I know.
Like, I don't just get random money taken away from me.
Yeah, that was a lot. You're so silly. I thought it was attached to a story.
No, I'm just
It's
letting you
real
know
life.
where my mind
Well, I
was.
understand. I would have been the same way.
The fuck you mean?
Pay our taxes. Then I'm like, yeah, dog.
So all that to say, Illinois, right now, you can suck my dirt. Okay. I will not be supporting your economy for the foreseeable
For
future.
future, we don't live there.
Because I don't.
Oh, my God.
That's not cool.
Not for that. And then they weren't working with you.
And Chaz at the federal department,
Yeah, that he did.
you a bitch.
Yeah, because he was like, sorry, I ain't even gonna let you talk to no manager. You be all right. He's like, excuse you, if I ask to talk to a manager asking me what I'm gonna talk to the manager about, that's none of your business. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good now.
Yeah. We got it taken care of, y'all. No worries. We good. We not broke. It's all good. So this has been, what time are we at? We at an hour?
48 minutes.
Oh, awesome. That's good time. All right. So this has been the Paid in Full podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We will do a part 2. We're going to tackle a little bit more Insecure later on. But we're glad we were able to ask these important questions and talk about communication and breaking up, and y'all take care of each other. We are available on all social media platforms as well as at paidinfullpod@gmail.com if you want to communicate with us. So we'll see you guys soon.
Have a great one, everybody.